Hello everyone. So this is the part of building, this is the second part of building our mini SQL database engine in C. So in the previous video, we have learned about how we can take the insert command and select command. And today we are going to taking the things up to the next level and we will add update, delete and where and even a permanent file storage, right? So by the end of this video, you will understand how real SQL engine process queries internally. And some of the part of the code I'm going to just copy paste because we have done and I'll explain again, but I've already explained the some of the part some of the code in the first part. So let me create a file first here. So we'll say mini SQL, we can say 2.c, right? That is second. So I'm going to just copy paste it from the first code. So this is the standard input output library, and now we are going to just copy this. So this is the row that we have created. That we are going to take the values, and this one that I have already explained. Now the new thing what we are going to do here, we are going to basically create a function that basically save that basically create a file database.txt and it will we are going to basically this function will write each single new entry into the file. I mean to say if user has enter whenever the user enter a new values, then we are going to keep writing in the database.txt file. So let's create that file. So we'll say void save to file, right? And we will create a file that is database dot txt, and we'll say the write command. So the file will be database dot txt. Expected a type of specifier. So it's a void. Okay, no, don't have right here. So this is our function, right? Now we are going to create a file that will say file streak of fp, and we are going to open the file. It will say database dot txt, and we are going to write. So and close this, and we're going to run a loop. So we'll say for int I equals to 0, I equals to 0, and then we'll say I is less than, that will be a row count, then we'll say I plus plus, and we'll say here f printf. We're going to print the message. So we'll say percentile d, that will be an percentile s, and then percentile d, and this will be inside of bracket. This will not, and we are going to say backslash n. Now we are going to take the value. So it's a table of I dot id. Let's copy this because we just have to print here. Then this will be age, and this will be the name, right? We'll add the semicolon. And after opening the file, we have to close the file, right? And we'll provide the file name, that will be a file, right? So this is the file that we are going to save all the file, all the entries into the database.txt. Now what we're going to do, we are going to create a function that is a load from file, and we will basically we will open the file that the database.txt, and we are going to read that file, and we'll read all the row until the file ends. So we'll say void load from file, and we'll create a function, right? And we are going to say, let's copy this. So right, and this will be read, and we'll say if fp equals to null, then what we're going to do, we're going to say return, right? And now what you're going to write, we are going to write, if we are going to read the file, and we will read all the rows until the file ends. So we'll say, we'll run a while loop here. So while, and then f scanf, we'll say fp the percentile d percentile s, and then again percentile d. We'll add a comma here, and we'll say equals to 3, because we are going to take three values. Then here what we're going to say, percent of table of row count id, uh, add comma, and we are going to add the same for the name, and this will be row count, and then this will be the name, this will be the age, right? And is equals to, and we'll close this. This will be, we can say, row count plus plus. So what we're doing here, we are basically running a loop, while loop, that basically read the entire file, and it prints all the data until the file ends. Now, next thing what we're going to do, we are going to um, write a select command, where basically we will read all the values. So I'll just copy paste this, and I'll explain what I have done here, because I have already explained this function in the previous video, right? So, and so we forgot to close this file, this function, and we have to also close this file. So we'll say close, close. And this function that I have already explained, that we are taking the column and values, then we are selecting the rows, and what you're doing, we are running a loop here, so that we can this will be a select. It basically, this file is basically, it run a select, where select a query with the where clause. Okay. So to this, we have to add one, check it. So this file is closed, this is also closed, it closes this file, and here we have done also close the if one, and this one is, so we have to write a p. Yeah, so that's it. So we forgot to close the file, and this is the where clause. So what we are doing, basically, we are just reading the data, and we are basically converting a string into, and a string and a matching id, and we will check all the row id, name, and age, right? Now the next thing what we're going to do, we are going to say update. So, and we are going to update the row when we will find the id, and then we'll update the that particular row. So we'll say void, we'll say execute update, and we'll create a function that is basically take int id characteristic new name, and this will be int and a new age, right? And now what you're going to do, we are going to run a loop, right? So we'll say for, let me just copy this because we're going to write this same and in bracket. So, and we'll check if table of I dot id equals to id. If the new if the new values, whatever the user has right to update, if the id is found, then what we're going to do, we are going to say str copy, and we're going to replace all the valued apart from the id. So it's a table of I dot name, right? And then this will be a new name. We'll close this, and then we'll say table of I dot age equals to new age. To close this, so we'll say printf, say printf, and we're going to say row updated, and we'll say backslash, right? And we are going to call a file that will be that basically save to the file, and we'll return this. Yeah. And we'll return. And what we're going to do, if this will fail, right? So we are going to print. We'll print a message that is no ID not found. So it's ID not. It say ID not found, and we'll close this. Right now, next thing what we're going to do, we are going to write the delete function. Delete. And in the delete function, we are going to shift all the row by up by one, and we will remove the selected row like based on the ID. So just create a function. We'll say void execute underscore delete, and we are going to say int ID. So we are going to take the ID and we are going to delete it. And let me just copy this, use this again. So this is the for loop that we are writing for the everything, and this will also copy. We'll check the ID, and what we are going to do, we are going to run a loop that say for int j equals to I, and we'll say j is less than row underscore count minus 1, and then we'll say j plus plus, and we'll say table of j equals to table, let's say j plus 1, right? And then what we're going to do, we are going to say row count minus minus, because we are going to remove we are going to shift a row up by one, right? So we'll say printf will say row deleted, and we'll say backslash n, and we are going to save to file, will return, and we'll finally return, right? So this is for the basically the delete, and the final what we're going to do, we are going to write the printf message that basically say id not, say printf, and this will say id not found, right? And we'll close this, and I'm going to copy this the select command that we have written in the previous video. So I'll say, let me just copy this. We're not going to explain what I'm doing here, and same what I'm going to do for the insert also. So this is insert, and let me explain what we have done here before moving to the further, right? So we have basically inserted all the necessary libraries. We have created a row structure, that basically take the input, that basically take ID, name, and age, and store into the file. The save to file function is basically it takes all the input whatever the user enter with the ID, name, and age. It will keep updating into the database.txt file, right? It will keep writing into the database.txt file. And the load from file, basically it will read all the values from database.txt and execute select command. It will return a query where we are going to write, suppose select the values where id equals to 1 or 2, right? And then it will return all the values of the particular id, name, and age, right? And then we are going to update this command. So this command, this function is basically it will update the particular row with the particular id. And that for the delete, we are going to delete the particular row, and we will also shift the row by one. And the insert that you guys know, like we have done this in a previous video. Basically we are going to insert that value, right? And select all the values from the database, right? From the database.txt file. Now we are going to create our main function. So it's in main, and we are going to immediately load the file, load from file. Basically we are going to load all the data that exists in the database.txt. And we are going to define a character that basically take a command, user command. So we'll say command, and we can say it should be 200, right? Now the next thing what we're going to do, we are going to print some message that I'm going to just have written somewhere. Just I'll copy paste this. Yeah. So what we are going to do, this will basically, we will print this message that many SQL engine commands we are asking. For the insertion, we have to write like this. For selecting the command, like this. For selecting the command where, with the where clause. For the update and for the delete. And if you want to exit the loop, so this is what we have to do. And then we run a infinite loop until the user want to close the program, right? And we'll say printf, say db, and yeah, and this will add semicolon, and we'll say f gets, and we'll say command, and we'll say size of command, and then we'll say stdin. Basically we are going to read the code line by line. Close this. So why are you getting said too many argue? Okay, it's a get c instead of gets, right? So the, we'll say command, and then strcspn, right? And we'll say command, then is backslash n equals to 0. Now what we're going to do, we are going to, I'll just going to copy. If user has entered exit, then we'll basically close the program, right? That this we have done in the previous video also. And for the select, I'm also going to copy because it will also select the, so yeah, this is variable that basically store the column and the value, and this will filter, right? And for the update, I'm going to write here. So we'll say update, and we are going to say int id and age, and we'll say, so we'll say int id and age, and then we are going to say char name 50, right? And this I have already written, so let me just copy this. We're going to check if the values are that we have to update. that we have written or not, right? That is basically it will take three parameter, that is ID, name and days. For the delete, I'm also going to copy this. So for the delete this, we are going to take the ID and we're going to delete that. And for the insertion, we are going to take these three values and then we are going to return this. So, and same goes for the select. And finally, if you not found anything, then we'll say unknown one, right? Unknown command there. And we'll add the bracket here, right? And we have written the main function, so we can return 0, right? So let me explain all these things one by one. So first we have included all the library, and the second we have created a row, basically a structure. Basically, in a easy term, we can say we have created a row that takes three values, that is ID, name, and age, right? And then we created a table and we created a row count that basically keep incrementing whenever the new value will be inserted into the database.txt. And this is the save to file. Whatever value user will enter, we are going to save inside the database.txt. And this is the load from file. We are going to read all the values from the database.txt. And then comes the execute select where clause. So this will basically run a where queries that select where, and we are whatever the value, whatever the column user will enter, we will get the values. And then this is for the update. If someone wants to update their row, or yes, someone wants their value should be changed, the name change, and the age should be changed, then they will provide us the ID and we are going to update that particular row. And this is the for the deleting the row. If we'll get the ID and a user want to delete that particular ID, then we can delete it. For the execute that select, basically we will get all the rows. And the insert, basically it will insert the new row into the database.txt. And when the main function start, so what we have done, we are basically calling load from file, that basically it load all the data from the file. And then we are just printing the message. This is start for the command. For insertion, you have to write this. For the select, you have to write like this, and then this, and then I mean, and finally the exit thing. That exit thing, basically if user wants to close the program, right? And this is basic things what you're doing. We are taking the command and we are checking if user has enter the exit command, then we'll break this. Otherwise, if user has entered the select, then we will execute the select and we'll print the message to the user. And same goes for the update, same goes for the delete, same goes for the insert and select, right? And if user has enter apart from these command something else, then we'll say the command is unknown, right? So let's compile it and we'll see what we get it here. So we'll say gcc mini sql2.c -o, we'll say mini sql2. So we have successfully compiled this. Now let me close the say mini sql2. So we are successfully run this. So we got all the messages that mini SQL engine started, that is advanced. Now we are going to insert the command. So we'll say insert, and we can say id equals to 1, and we can say log, and we can say 30. So it's a row inserted, and we can see the database.txt file is created. We have not created any file, and it is automatically created. So let's open this and see what we get here. So we got the values, right? So it means we are able to write the file. We are able to insert the data, whatever the user has entered into the file, right? Now what we're going to do, we are going to select, right? So we got the values, and what we'll do, we'll insert another values here that will say to, and we'll say in a capital form, and we can say 40. So we have two values now. We can go and we can see it here, right? Now what we're going to do, we are going to run select where clause. So we'll say select where we can say id equals to 2. We got the second row, right? And that is id equals to 2. Now we are going to update this. Instead of this, we are going to change some text. So we'll say update, and id will be 2, and the new name we can say array log subscribe, right? And yeah, and the age we can say it is now 40, we can say 25. So it's a row updated. Now we'll say select command so that we can see is it we are successfully able to see. Now we are successfully able to run all this command, that is a insert, select where, update, and we have not run this the delete one, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to say delete, and we are going to provide the id. So we'll say id2. We are going to delete the second values. Now it's a row deleted, right? And let's run this and we'll say, so we got only one values, and we are going to open the database.txt to see, and here we go, we are successfully able to delete the second id, right? So this is how you can build your okay, so it's a unknown command because I've entered clear. You have to type exit to close this. Right now you close it successfully. So, and that's how you can build your mini SQL database, right? And if you want to build it with the GUI so that a user don't see what happens behind the background, behind the scene, then write down in a comment, and I'll make this project with the simple nice GUI. And over there I'm going to add some more features, right? Suppose you wanted to put some certain condition with this update or delete, or whatever the condition you want, write down in a comment, then I'll make a separate video on that, and then I'll post it here, right? So that is what is like a building your mini SQL database engine. And if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you with the new project. So until then, see you. Thank you.